or about chapter 3 says this, rulers and prophets denounced. And I said, hear your heads, O Jacob, and rulers of the house of Israel. Is it not for you to know justice, you who hate the good and love the evil, who tear the skin from off my people, and their flesh from off their bones, who eat the flesh of my people, they're cannibals, and flay their skin from off of them, and break their bones in pieces, and chop them up like meat in a pot, like flesh in a cauldron, some like Israel's enemies. These people that God's talking about have invaded Israel because they wouldn't repent. God allowed them to be invaded. God allowed some of the Jews to be killed, and their enemies actually ate some of them, cannibals. That's what God's talking about. God allowed it, though, because Israel wouldn't repent. Then they will cry to the Lord, but he will not answer them. He will hide his face from them at that time. So does God choose sometimes not to hear your prayer? Yes, it tells you right here. Will God hide his face from you because you won't repent of your sins? Yes. It happened right here. God's word is truthful. That's why it's so important. That's why if you want God to hear your prayers, repent of your sins, live your life for him, he will hear your prayers, he will answer you. But if you don't repent of your sins, and if you continue in your sin and continue to just live in sinfulness, God will not hear your prayer, and he will turn his face away from you, like he says here. So it's so important for God to save you, and you repent of your sins and live your life for him. So he will hear your prayer. It says here, let's see, then they will cry to the Lord, but he will not answer them. He will hide his face from them at that time, because they have made their deeds evil. Thus says the Lord concerning the prophets, who lead my people astray, false prophets, who cry peace when they have something to eat, but declare war against him who puts nothing into their mouths. False prophets, of course, people that prophesy, God told them this and this and this. It doesn't happen. They're false prophets. Same thing for false teachers, people that say, people that preach things, it's not even in the Bible. The false teachers, not true preachers. They're not true preachers of God. So always remember that. It says, let's see, verse 5. This says, Lord concerning the prophets who lead my people astray, who cry peace when they have something to eat, but declare war against him who puts nothing into their mouths. Therefore it shall be not to you without vision, and darkness to you without divination. The sun shall go down on the prophets, and the day shall be black over them. Remember that one more time, verse 6. Therefore shall be not to you without vision, and darkness to you without divination. The sun shall go down on the prophets, and the day shall be black over them. The seers shall be disgraced, and the diviners put to shame. Diviners were people who did magic. They should say they were what's the word? They were sorcerers, witches, stuff like that. They dealt in black magic. They were evil people. Let's see here. It says, therefore it should be not to you without vision, and darkness to you without divination. The sun shall go down on the prophets, and they shall be black over them. The seers shall be disgraced, and the diviners should be put to shame. They shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer from God, because God hates them, because they won't repent of their sins. Their sins have kept them from God, and they're not willing to repent. So God's not answer the prayer, and God's going to hold wrath upon them until they do repent and live their lives for him. So when people say God doesn't hate, they're lying, because God does hate unless people get saved and they repent their sins. God is a God of love. He does love us at the same time, though he's a God of wrath, that if you don't repent of your sins, he will pour out his punishment upon you. Simple as that. But often don't want to hear that because it scares them, but it's the truth. It's the honest truth. It says, they shall cover their lips, for there is no answer from God. But as for me, I am filled with power, which is the Holy Spirit, with the Spirit of the Lord, with justice and might, to declare to Jacob his transgression, and to Israel his sin. Hear this, you heads of the house of Jacob, and rulers of the house of Israel, who detest or hate justice, and make crooked all that is straight, who build Zion, which is Jerusalem, with blood, and Jerusalem with iniquity, which is sin. Its heads give judgment for a bribe, its priests teach for a price, its prophets practice divination or magic for money. Yet they lean on the Lord and say, Is it not the Lord in the midst of us? No disaster shall come upon us. Therefore, because of you, Zion shall be plowed as a field or destroyed. Jerusalem shall become a heap of ruins, and the mountains of the house a wooded height. The mountains of the house, talking about, of course, nobody's talking about the temple, how it was destroyed when the Babylonians came in, destroyed Jerusalem, destroyed Israel because they didn't repent, and then they led the Jews into exile. Of course, later on, when the Jews repented and turned back to God, they came back. God led them back to their nation to rebuild Jerusalem and the temple and also the nation of Israel. This is chapter 3 about the rulers and prophets denounced. I'll be back here shortly with chapter 4.